Okay, I'm requested to join.
All right. Hey, my name's Ethan Hawke. I'm here. Um, I'm trying to figure out how to get my daughter on.
Hey, there you are
Hi.
again. Sorry to
Wow.
everyone who just heard us FaceTiming to discuss how we could make sure that we knew how to do this Instagram Live. Is it embarrassing? Yes, but we did it, so that's something.
But we're not embarrassed to be real human beings. We
No.
are. I don't know how to do this, and I needed help, and I'm so grateful to you for helping me press the right buttons. I think we're actually live here.
I think we are too.
This is so fun. I just saw our friend Willa texted us that she loves us, and I don't know.
I see that as well.
It's funny when you go on these live things. I basically assume a malevolent universe that everybody's like watching, hating you. Like I
Making
don't know.
fun of you, just actively
Yeah,
making fun of you. I know.
but then I see Willa come up, and I'm like, hey, wait a second. The universe isn't so bad.
No, people aren't just making fun of you.
I know.
It's cool.
No,
Um,
I
no,
go. Do
no,
I
you
want
go,
to?
you go, you go.
I think a lot of the viewing audience knows what an obsessive football fan you are, and and that I just want to repeat what I've said to you your whole life. You know what? Just pray for a good game. You know?
Dad,
I
I'm so stressed. I just if
my
the
May the best team win. We don't control it. You have to enjoy the playing of the game. Don't let the stress ruin your
if
fun.
that one team doesn't beat that other team today, I just don't know if I'm going to be able to sleep tonight. And
I
if the one team that I like, if they lose, I mean, what's going to happen? They might not get to play the next game.
I, I know you've been a wreck all morning. I'll just say this: you should someday learn the names of the teams that you love.
But Dad, of course I know the name of the team that I love. What, I have to say the name of the team that I love so that other people know that I know the team that is playing today? I don't need them to know what I know to be
I know,
true in my
I know,
soul.
and I'm glad I've raised you that way to understand the beauty of this, the playing of the game.
You really have, and I will say, since we've started talking about football, we went from 15,000 people watching us be live to 7. So I feel like maybe we should tell the people why we're here.
Okay, very good. All right, well, we're here to announce that Wildcat is going live on Criterion Channel, the best streaming channel in the cinematic universe. We are so proud to be on this channel. And for all you people that don't know Criterion or you're not on it, you got to do it. The best movies in the world are streaming there, and we get to be one of the lucky movies. Tonight, they're screening it for the first time on Criterion Channel at 8 o'clock tonight. It's a live stream, and then the whole thing, then it's always available as of February 1st. But you can watch it for free tonight at 8 o'clock or something like that.
And I know that this might sound like a backhanded compliment to ourselves, but some of the streaming services, they're just worried about what's going to make money or what they think is popular or how hot the actors are or whatever. And Criterion, they're thinking about what's good and interesting and might give you a valuable experience. And I'm not saying our movie is any of those things, but they're cool. We might not be cool, but we're cool by extension because they think we're
Yeah,
cool.
and I am happy to be hanging with the popular kids for a day.
Yeah.
You know,
Me too. Me too. Really, really happy, really honored.
I wanted to tell you one funny thing. Maybe this is not the kind of thing you talk about on Instagram Live, but maybe it is. So
Maybe.
as you know, I'm here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, getting ready to make a show with the brilliant Sterling Harjo.
Yes.
And the girls, your younger sisters, are starting at a new school. And I asked them how it was going. And one of the things they were nervous about is that maybe some of the kids would be uncomfortable because their dad was famous. Like, would that be like weird to start a new school? And Clementine said the other day, good news, Dad, nobody knows about you. All anybody asks me about all day is Maya. All day long, everybody asks me, you're really Maya Hawke's sister? You're really Maya Hawke's sister? And nobody cares about you anymore, Dad. And I was like, yes, victory.
Well, I'm certainly glad you felt that way. And people cared about you when I was a kid. So I guess it's just you're handing it down,
Well,
one generation at a time.
Yeah, usurped it. That's what you get by being the oldest.
It's, being the oldest, it has its, its difficulties, and it has its positives. But Dad, I wanted to ask you a question. If any of the fine people tuning in here right now are going to watch the movie tonight, is there anything you'd want to say to them to prepare them for it, or anything you'd like to say to put it into context, or anything like that?
Yeah, I would like to say that. Great. This movie is so special to me. It's one of my favorite things I've ever had the privilege to work on. It's about the legendary Flannery O'Connor, and I feel about her that way I feel about only a handful of artists that really achieve a kind of high watermark excellence in their field. And she also was a deeply spiritual woman, and she used her devout faith to open herself up and really stare into the nature of reality. And we together, this movie was your idea. Your amazing brain reached out to me to say, hey, Dad, would you ever want to make a movie about Flannery O'Connor? And I was like, would I? I would. It would be very difficult. You remember our first conversation about
Of
it?
course.
You couldn't have challenged us to a more difficult subject matter. She's a genius.
But also,
She
has never had her life is not very action packed. Never had you can't make a romance about her, you can't make an action film about her. I mean, there's just, the genres are limited. You might have been able to make a horror film about
maybe
her in some way or another, but
you could have done that. But what is remarkable about her is the power of her mind. And so you and I decided to make a movie about the mind and what the intersection is between faith and imagination and human creativity, which is probably the essential meditation of my life, about how communicating ourselves might actually be reality, about how we can connect with other people, and what the point of living a meaningful, substantive life in the arts might be about. She is a shining example of that. She was faced with extreme adversity, and as we all know, adversity, if handled the right way, can develop into amazing growth. We've seen it with human beings. You don't get something for nothing in this life. And she suffered a tremendous amount. She thought she was going to die very early in her life, never was certain she would live another 12 to 18 months, her whole creative adult life. And it took her to the wise end of the pool. And so we did it. We took the dare and we made a movie about Flannery O'Connor. All my good friends thought I was freaking nuts. But we did it. And I have to say, when I saw they announced it on Criterion and they put the trailer on, forgive me, I don't know if you're allowed to say this. I watched the trailer. I was like, I can't believe we made that movie.
I know. It's really cool.
And we talked about Willa earlier, but a lot of our family and friends were involved in it. Your stepmother produced it. My old friend Steve Zahn is in it. My woman I made my Broadway debut with, Laura Linney, plays your mother. She's genius. I have this cinematographer who I think is exceptional, Shelby Gaines.
Raphael Casal and Phil Ettinger were amazing in it and came through for us so hard.
Everyone involved, everybody knew what a dare it was. How do you make a movie about the life of a mind? But
brother and your son Levon has a shining moment in it.
He starts us off with a bang. And I had this immense pride before we did this Instagram Live. Like, I'm so happy that it's going to be available to people. Your work, I'm allowed to say, is, I felt, people come up to me all the time and ask me, like, what was it like to direct your daughter? And it felt so natural to me. Like, it didn't feel.
Tell me what to do my whole life, so of course it felt natural to you.
I've been witnessing your creativity my whole life, and the fact that you had asked me to do a film, a subject matter that my mother had turned me on to, it felt very, I don't know, a strange calling about the feminine powers in my life, and to this thing that my mother introduced me to, that you reintroduced me to. And then at this, when you first brought this idea up, I was turning 50, and it felt like a really important moment in my development, is to try to use the language of cinema. And you're, I mean, I come at directing as a lover of acting. And when you can build a whole movie around a performance, around your work and your desire to play this character, I mean, what was it like? I'm talking too much. What should you say?
No, you're talking amazingly. I mean, you're an extraordinary director. And when I got to briefly work with you when you made The Good Lord Bird, I really got to see the way that you direct actors and basically do a scene study course. And one of the things I was most excited about being directed by you was being brought through your scene study course. And it was such an exciting aspect of making it, was really also just feeling like I was learning about acting while I was doing it. And the part is a hard part. So it was also, you need to challenge yourself to be able to learn. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you're not learning that much. But you were such a extraordinarily supportive guiding hand in helping me do the hardest thing I'd ever done as an actor. And also just getting to explore, the movie touches on, it's in some ways it's a quiet movie, but it touches on so many really intense subject matters about race in America and religion and feminism and what the meaning of art is. And it brought up so many powerful conversations between the two of us, between our whole family, even in deciding whether or not it was appropriate to make this movie. And I felt the whole experience was such an education. And again, I also don't know if you're supposed to say this on Instagram Live, but you've been talking to me a lot in the last couple of days about, is it Bishop Bud? Is that how you say her name? Budde?
I don't know. I've never said her name out loud before, but you're talking about the Episcopalian bishop that gave the sermon at the after the inauguration.
Yeah, and I just was thinking about it before we got on, and thinking about how often um religion has been weaponized and sort of hypocritical in the way it's been used to, especially Christianity in America has been used to hurt people and hurt vulnerable people and separate people and judge people. And Flannery was a deeply, deeply imperfect person of her own time, who really was angry at hypocrisy of all sorts. And I was so moved by you talking to me about her and her refusal to apologize, and the Episcopalian Church standing behind her refusal to apologize, and what she said, and that she was not being a hypocrite. She was taking the true request for mercy, that is at the core of her own religion, and asking for it, even in an environment where that would be a pretty intense thing to do. I'm not speaking that clearly, but
Yeah, you.
the fact that that has just happened, and that now we get to be talking to people about this film that we made that deals with a lot of the dark side of the American South and Catholicism and Christianity, but also about a person who was really trying to see the forest through the trees and see what was the authentic goodness of it, and at least the truth of it. I don't know. It feels like an important thing to
Yeah,
mention.
I think part of what was so fun and so fun's a dumb word for what I'm trying to say. What felt so purposeful about getting to make a movie about her is to kind of explore the landscape of the mind and the heart and the soul that lives beyond politics. There is a meeting place where we all are, that's beyond these divisive energies of separating rich people and poor people and this kind of people and that kind of people, and the nature of reality, which is something that is unnameable. The big, her key words were hypocrisy, as you said, of hunting for the truth, and humility in front of the great mysteries of life. And that mystery was the key word to her, and that there's so much that we all don't understand. And when we go at it with that humility to learn and to seek each other and to seek the truth, that's more and more the thing that I'm anti-ignorance and I'm anti-deceit. Like anytime in my life that I've been deceitful, it just hurts me and hurts everybody I love. It's and when I see deceit in our public life and I see unvirtuous behavior, whatever, it feels so important that we all talk to each other about that landscape that lives beyond politics and
Yeah.
and the American life. Sometimes it's easier to go back in time. That's what I loved about Flanders. Let's go back to the 50s in the South. Let's talk about that, because then
Let's take a
now
look at
let's
it.
take a look at it. Let's really stare at it. Wasn't it incredible when we were doing the promotion for this movie? We got to go to this exhibit in Atlanta where they had Alice Walker, Flannery O'Connor, and Benny Andrews, these three great artists that all lived and grew up. They were all so close to each other, and they didn't even know each other. And their art spoke to. Remember, one's
Of course, I remember.
Alice
Yeah.
Walker and Flannery. People know, but they were. It was so powerful to see these voices in concert with each other, and there was so much wisdom in that exhibit. It was at Emory University. It was incredible.
Extremely moving.
Um, so it's a wild time that we're all living in. And I think that my hope is that difficult times create growth. They do in our personal life, and they might in our collective life. So
Yeah.
that's my hope. And Miss O'Connor is a great example of that. In her short years, she had a penetrating depth of vision that we were turned on by, and we hope that other people do in watching the movie.
And she vigorously, and I was looking for the word vehemently, did not care about being liked, and was more in the pursuit of truth than the pursuit of being liked or being popular. And I think that that is such an important, I mean, as we say on, watching all the little likes come by in the corner, like all the little hearts,
But
like our
like
culture right now is,
you feel good.
it's
They
nice
do.
to be liked,
It's
but
true
our
because
culture is so oriented towards being liked and being popular and being approved of. And it's important to get these reminders, whether it is that you watched the Bob Dylan movie and thought about Bob Dylan this year, but thinking about these people who really tried to make art, and more than they cared about how popular they were. And I think it's an important thing to remember sometimes.
because it's so difficult to do, and we admire when we see other people do it and survive. We're
Yeah.
worried that we're not liked, we won't survive somehow. We'll be beaten, or but you can be truthful and you can just push ahead. I see some people asking like what time the movie shows tonight, and it does show at 8 o'clock on the Criterion Channel. I'm kind of hopeful, Maya, that there's so many people that love Stranger Things and appreciate your acting, and I'm really hopeful that there's a lot of young people that love Stranger Things that might want to join Criterion Channel. I know that's like
I hope
because I just
so too. I mean, not even just to see our movie, but to see all the movies that they have on there. I mean, there's a full education that's available
I know, but when
there.
you say education, people think it means it's going to be boring. It's not
Okay, sorry.
boring.
There's a full exciting world of fun.
Exactly.
There's
But
a full carnival. There's a carnival.
exactly. There's a party happening
Yeah,
on Christ.
thank you. Sorry, not everybody likes school. I
Yeah,
always forget that.
yeah. I know. Um, well, what else should we talk about with the Instagram Live?
I've been vaguely looking at the comment section and looking for questions, but I'm not seeing any questions. So if anyone has a question and they do want it answered, no, I do have my eyes out for
Well,
it.
no, the primary question is why are my dogs barking so much?
I mean, why are your dogs barking so much? And why have I gotten so lucky that a bark-a-thon hasn't begun? I don't know.
it's I'm here alone. Everybody else is out, and there's nobody to hush the dogs up. And I guess the dogs like
They're protecting you. They're protecting you.
they're worried. Yeah, they're worried about this whole Instagram live thing. Um, uh,
Um, okay. Um, what's the name of the movie at 8 p.m.? Oh, the name of the movie is it's called
oh,
Wildcat. That is a great
that,
question. That's important.
thank you for that question.
Maybe we should say something along the lines of our film Wildcat that we made together is premiering on Criterion Channel today at 8, in case
Yeah,
you're just tuning in now.
and
Welcome, radio listeners.
available as of February 1st after it, but they're doing a one-time only live stream
Free.
at 8 o'clock tonight. And it's for people that aren't concerned with
Yeah,
football. If you're
for people who aren't concerned with football.
football, I advise you watch the game and then watch our movie.
I know that my powerful love of football makes this seem maybe like not true, but I feel like the football audience and the Wildcat audience is not going to have a ton of overlap. Maybe, no, that's me talking down. I don't know why I don't know why I said that, but why do I think people don't like, why do I think that's not the same people? Maybe it's the same people.
I think so. I like football.
Yeah,
I mean, heck,
that's true.
I'm going to watch the game after as soon as I shut these dogs.
You're going to watch that one team play that other team?
I'm going to watch that one team, and I'll cry when that one team loses to that other team.
God, I hope the one team wins.
I know, it just would mean the world. Everything, the whole universe might be right.
Yeah, it really
Okay,
might be.
Okay, a couple questions I have for you. Is it true or false that you just wrapped Stranger Things 5?
It is true. It is true. And I think I'm allowed to even say it.
And how'd it go?
It went great. It went awesome. It was my favorite season by far to film. It was the best. And other than it went great and it's over, I have no idea what else I'm allowed to say. So I really, there's not a lot of questioning room available there. But it's great, and we finished.
And now, and you're getting ready, you're going to do a play this spring, correct?
I'm going to do a play this spring. I'm going to do Eurydice by Sarah Rule at the Signature Theater. It's pretty exciting.
You would be pleased, I think, to know that I got an email the other day from your old mentor, Oscar Hustis at the Public Theater, saying he heard you doing the play, and he's so excited. He loves the play, and he loves you, and he can't wait to see it.
Oh, I'm so glad that me and everyone else here got to hear that incredible news.
Might as well say some personal things if Jet is going to bark this much.
Might as well. Well, I'm just so excited for you guys to see this movie. I'm trying to think of what else we can tell you about it that would make sense. I mean, we already talked about the rest of the cast and the crew and how amazing everybody was. But, I guess I'll say to make a movie like this, you really need a lot of help from a lot of people. A lot of people have to want to do it. There's some opportunities to make art or to make films where it's like a job and everybody just like obviously should do it and would want to do it. But we asked favors from a lot of people that we love to help make this happen and happen the way that it did. And I will be forever grateful that we got to make this dream of ours come true and got to explore kind of like the landscape of the dream world and of the imagination.
I'm so glad you said that, Maya, because the truth is that I've never felt more grateful to the people involved. We got to make a very dangerous film about a subject matter that means a lot, and environment where so many things are oriented and motivated and arranged, trying to sell something, the accumulation of wealth, and this movie was old-fashioned in that it's really trying to use cinema as self-expression. It was really personal to you. It was personal to me. And we knew, because as a father-daughter team, that the chances that we could never take this opportunity for granted, that we couldn't be indulgent at all. We couldn't be self-satisfied. We had to work harder than we'd ever worked, because it was such a gift to get to be able to do it. And we did invite all these people in. And Laura Linney, for example, her excellence, I was funny, like anybody that ever sees the movie comes to me. Laura Linney was amazing, as always. They always say,
as always,
always, the ever excellent. And there were so many people like that brought their dedication to excellence and allowed it not to be. We didn't want to work together so that the dad and daughter could work together. We wanted to work together and to make something important to both of us. And all the collaborators that we brought in, even the final score, Shelby and Latham are two brothers who built their own instruments. I gave them the challenge. If you watch the movie, Flannery didn't really like music. She didn't like singing to the choir. She didn't like things that overtly tried to move you. She liked things about mystery. So I was like, what should the music to this movie be? And I came up with this idea that I gave to these composers, Shelby and Latham Gaines. It's like, what does the Holy Ghost sound like?
Yeah.
If the Holy Ghost was music, what would it be? And the two of them just stared at me and were like, give me a minute. And every time I hear their music come on, it's because they made instruments out of doors and old chains. And even if you hear a guitar, it's not a guitar. It's built out of a barbed wire strung really tight that they're playing a blues guitar riff on. So all the sounds are not sounds of music. They're the sound of the universe, and I use them specifically. You came at it with the same level of dedication. Everybody who was there challenged us to take this opportunity, say, all right, these beautiful people at Renovo, they helped us finance the movie. They believed in us. They gave us all this creative power. And the only way we could repay that was to work as hard as we've ever worked, and to at least put it all out there and make it to the best of our ability. And it's certainly not going to be for everybody. It's a strange movie, but I'm so proud of it. And it gets at this thing we were talking about earlier that means so much to me about, who we are and how what we dream about and think about affects our daily life, and how when we're right inside, everything goes right outside, and we're not right inside, nothing goes right outside. And
Sorry.
No, I'm done.
Even what you said about, it's certainly not for everybody. You always raised me to judge films and artwork not based on necessarily how good a time you had when you were sitting and watching it, but how good a time you had talking about it with your friends and loved ones afterwards. And that there are lots of movies that you can sit and watch and love, and you never think about them again, and you have nothing to say about them to anyone. And there are some movies that you hate and that you leave and you have opinions about why you hate them and why you wish the person didn't make it or didn't include that scene, or it could have been good if it had this, and that you think it means this, and that offends you to your core that they would want to make that mean that. And that conversation is the most important thing about making art. It goes back to being liked, and that it's spurring people to engage more with each other, not just to engage more with you or your movie or your next movie, is the most important part. And so to anyone who is considering watching the movie tonight, I hope you invite a friend over.
And I so agree. I love this thing someone told me when I was younger once, that a great film starts as the end credits roll, meaning how does it vibrate inside you? That's the dream. Is how does the movie's supposed to ring a bell, and it's supposed to vibrate through you. And so many movies in the course of my lifetime, I've got obsessed with entertaining people, as if that's our job, is to make sure that the 2 hours after work before you go to bed, you don't think. And my favorite movies are the ones that, yes, obviously they're enjoyable and pleasurable, and but they're in conversation with you, not talking at you,
reminding you that you're alive rather than giving you permission not to be.
Yeah. And I do think that's the big thing that you've heard me say this my whole life, but the big takeaway from my time working with Richard Linklater is that how how can this form of telling stories with images, how can this form continue to grow? And how can I be a part of pushing the language of cinema to helping us all have a greater collective conversation? And how to not avoid serious subject matters, and how not to only sometimes a great example, like I love, you can do the most delicate little comedy about a boy and a girl meeting or something, but if it's truthful and it's articulate, it becomes about everything. And you can make a movie that claims to be about everything and it's really important, and all it does is make you allergic to anything because it has an agenda with you that's beyond the truth.
Yeah.
And Rick was always really good about the form and its intersection with truth. And when you do truth of human behavior, people relate to it. And even if, as you said, even if they don't like it, their reaction to not liking it is helpful. And also,
Yeah.
often I find when I do hate a movie a lot, I often end up seeing it again and deciding I liked it.
Totally. And that happens
Oh,
all the
weird.
time. Yeah. It's like, I mean, ambivalence is the enemy, right? Like the worst one is, oh, it was okay. That's like that's the heartbreak is the I mean, as a creative, that's like the opposite of what you want people to leave feeling. You don't is like, oh, all right, sure.
How, how often have you found that, like, you're out at a dinner party or something and you're like, oh, she's terrible. I can't stand her. She's the worst person. And then you realize, like, oh, you're falling in love with her. You know, or he's a jerk. He's the worst. Oh, you're jealous of him.
Of course. I mean, totally. It's the classic thing you've always told me about jealousy is like, if you're ever thinking that you don't like another actor's work, think about how you would feel if they offered you a movie to play opposite them.
Yeah.
How do you feel about their work now?
Yeah.
You,
I love
you're
that.
like, oh,
Yeah.
actually, wow. I mean, if they like me, they must be so smart. I think we could do something really great together, actually, you know?
Like,
But it's such a our brains are all so funny. Okay, people I've been looking, people want to know doing independent film, period films. How hard is it to do period production design on an independent budget?
it is so hard. I mean, one of my primary memories of making Wildcat is the driving to find locations when you don't have money to build locations or to pay or to put computer effects afterwards. It's it's the thing I'm so envious of when I see, high budget art films, when they had when you see something brilliant like Poor Things and they had the money to make their dreams come true. I experience envy, because I love the movie, but like, how did they get to do that? Like, is it so hard? We had this amazing scene with you and Laura. We were driving, we were so blessed. We found an old train. Remember, I called you
Of
up. I was like,
course.
found a train. We can get the train station scene. But of course, right behind the train station is like 14 Wendy's and a supermarket. And we had to design the whole shot. So right as the train leaves, the camera moves so the audience can't see what you're creating a dream to try to take people back to the period, where
Hmm.
they can live in this period, and the things that ruin it are so small. The wrong costume, those costumes cost money, you know
And
and
the wrong one can ruin a scene where you don't, I mean, it's like the wrong wig where you just all of a sudden aren't watching anymore. You're going like, wait, is that a wig?
yeah,
Wait, would they really have worn that? And it's
and
so
if you're
distracting.
thinking that way, the movie's broken. And it's one of the biggest challenges with independent films and trying to get, I know it's hard for people love to go see big budget movies because they're so beautiful. I mean, I love them too. And it's oftentimes you'll hear independent films called little. Oh, that was a nice little movie. And it might be the most brilliant Emily Dickinson of a, by that I mean like a movie as good as what Emily Dickinson poem, but because it doesn't have all this money around it, it's kind of called little. And that's hard because as a cult, we have such respect for anything with money. Um,
Yeah, it's true.
and
But it's also there's this idea that you can't make something big and grand and great if you don't have X amount of money. And then there are movies like what we tried to do with this, of trying to make the period believable and convincing and the scope of the movie feel big. And movies like, it's so impressive, like The Brutalist, that I think was made for under $11 million,
It's
and like, and
astonishing.
is astonishing. And it's all, you can make your dream come true if you're willing to fly by the seat of your pants and work really hard, and do things. And everyone on the team, everywhere from the grips to the cast to the hair and makeup department, are all willing to be
Yeah, the
uncomfortable sometimes
actors
for
getting,
the sake of making something
you're
great.
getting changed. You're not in a trailer. You're sharing Susan's house, and I know it's whenever one of the things that I admire so much about The Brutalist, and why I think it's kind of like a calling card to the filmmaking community. You think it's impossible? It's not.
And
Great.
it's so
It's
inspiring.
so inspiring because you feel like, oh, wow, if you're willing to work as hard as they are, if your ideas are as clean and elegant as theirs, if that collective, that team making Brady and Mona's collaboration, and all those actors involved in it, I know some of them, and they all work for free and they all believed, but I'm so happy to see it being rewarded
Me
because
too.
it lets you know, like, oh, the dream's alive. You can make radical, badass art, and people will go see it. You just have to do it really
Really,
well.
really well. Yeah, yeah.
And,
Yeah, it's a huge inspiring challenge. Okay, I've got some fast questions for you before we go.
okay.
Because they only have 9 minutes before
Oh, yeah.
they have to turn on the
Well,
movie.
we're supposed to be on
Um,
the show.
I know, but really quick, people want to know, and I think this is funny. What's the highest game you've ever
The
bowled?
highest game I've ever pulled. Okay, this is true. You were a little baby, and I was in a hotel in China, okay? And nobody was there, okay? I don't know why they had a bowling alley in a hotel room. And I bowled like a 220. But no one was there. And this is pre like cell phones. I couldn't take a picture. And I was there in a Chinese bowling alley by myself, and I bowled a 220.
Oh,
Usually a good game for me is, between 170, 180. That's what I'm
and
rooting for.
another question that caught my eye was about our favorite Flannery O'Connor short story. And I just wanted to say, because it reminded me, my favorite is Good Country People. And I also, we didn't mention thanking Cooper Hoffman at the beginning when we were last talking about this. And he's extraordinary in the movie. You have to watch all the way to the end to see
Yeah,
him.
he,
We did it
he
on
comes in,
purpose to make sure you would. And he comes in and is swinging
he
so hard.
brings
He's
the
so
song.
good and does my favorite story so beautifully. Do you have a favorite story that's different than that one?
Well, luckily, I got to make the movie, so all my favorite stories are
Are
in the
in the
movie.
movie. So
Yeah,
yeah, watch the
and
movie and you'll find out what our favorite stories
yeah,
are.
those are all
Yeah.
my favorites. And we also should put a thank you out to Liam Neeson, who came to help us out. The movie plays in a few minutes on the Criterion channel, and then it's on permanently as of February 1st. Anybody who chimed into this whole thing, I love you.
I love you. Thank you.
Doing this makes me so nervous. I'm like bouncing, the dogs are barking, and it
I'm
makes me
always afraid I'm
nervous.
going to forget that we're on the internet and not just talking to each other. It's
It's
terrifying.
absolutely terrifying. But Maya, I love making this movie with you. It was one of the highlights of my
Me,
life. I
too.
cherish the whole experience, and anybody who bothers to watch the movie, I love you too.
And I love you too. And Dad, congratulations for having your movie premiere on the Criterion channel. It's a pretty big
Dream
deal.
come true
Dream
for me.
come true. 8 o'clock tonight.
Bye.
See Wildcat if you feel like it.
All
All
right.
right. Bye,
Bye,
guys.
everybody.